Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon, WWL Sports. We are listening to Bobby's rant after the Saints outlast the Titans. Give me an ugly win any day of the week. Last night / yesterday at noon, the Saints beat the Titans at home 17-16. And man, it was an ugly win to say the least. I was in the dome. I was there in that number, as they say. The game was ugly. Let me say that first. But it's important to win ugly games. It's important to win bad games. I think it's a hallmark of any good team to win games without your top performance. What Dallas did last night to the Giants, that is, to me, not as telling as the hard wins. It's not hard to win a game when you start off with a field goal return for a touchdown and a pick six, like Dallas did. It's hard to win a game like the Saints, who had 2.6 yards a carry and were 1 for 4 in the red zone and had 2 turnovers. You know, like the Saints did a lot of things wrong, but still got the 1-0. Like the Saints win is the same amount of win as Dallas's win. Okay. So if you're a Saints fan and you're concerned about the way that the win happened, hopefully this video will kind of slow that all down. Now, my initial thoughts before we get to Bobby, my initial thoughts on the performance was I thought the offense looked better schematically. I think what we were trying to do was better. We looked different. Now, I don't know if that's Pete Carmichael. I don't know if that's Ronald Curry. I don't know if that's Derek Carr. It was too early to tell. So I'm not going to give credit to any individual person. But the offense did look faster. It looked more up-tempo. It looked like we were trying to, like, it looked like we knew we were trying to do, I think. It stalled out a lot. You know, we would have 3 or 4 great plays. It would stall out, and that would be the drive. But when it got moving, we were doing things. There was a lot of pre-snap motion. We were getting a lot of people involved. Raheed Shaheed looked like the focal point of the offense. I was joking around leaving the stadium. No one was busier than Rashid Shaheed. He was returning kicks. He was doing jet sweeps. He was catching passes. I mean, he had like 6 or 7 catches. He was everywhere. So Rashid Shaheed was all over the place. Taysom Hill, I think he's going to be one of those deals where he was a Sean Payton guy. He was a Sean Payton project. I don't think this coaching staff really knows how to utilize him, and I don't think they're going to try to. He's going to get carries, and he's going to be in the game, but he's not going to be what Taysom Hill was 2 years ago. That's just how it looked to me. And I'm okay with that. You know, I don't think they should be forced to figure out Taysom Hill if they don't want to figure out Taysom Hill. The defense was incredible. Do not get that mistaken. Ryan Tannehill was bad, but the defense was amazing. Defensive line had pressure on Tannehill all game. The secondary was elite. Marshawn Lattimore, elite game against DeAndre Hopkins and whoever else was on him. They were amazing. 3 interceptions. Obviously, I don't have to tell y'all this, but they kept us in the game. They won us the game. Great stuff there. And ladies and gentlemen, can we finally put to bed the Blake Grupe, Will Lutz situation? I was screaming from the mountaintops all last week. And put in the comments below. Great job, James, for seeing Blake Grupe for what he was. The man. Blake Grupe won us the game. If we had 3 top players of the game, 1 is Marshawn Lattimore, 2 is Blake Grupe, and 3 is probably Demario Davis. Unbelievable. Blake Grupe comes in, keeps us in that game. So, I mean, I don't want to hear another word about Will Lutz. I don't want to hear another word about a kicking controversy. After week 1, I'm okay with that.
Won the game. We should never lose if we're only giving up in the teens. I'd have been disappointed. Let's say we'd have lost 18-16. I'd go shame on the offense.
For sure.
You give up this day and age. You give up, I would say even 20.
Yeah, this day and age, you should be scoring over 20 points a game, I would say. I agree with that. If you're, and look, like, I don't want to, this is a balancing act. Because obviously a win is a win. I'm happy with the win. The offense looked okay. You know, it wasn't, the rushing was abysmal. 2.6 yards a carry. The rushing was terrible. I don't know if Tennessee has I'll have to look at the rankings. I don't know if Tennessee has an amazing run defense or what the deal was, but our rushing was non-existent. Carr, I thought, was good. He had a terrible interception, but he was good. He wasn't, he wasn't generational in his performance, but he was good. We just couldn't put drives together long enough to get in the end zone. Thomas was good. Olave was good. Shaheed was good, except for the fumble. Everyone was good. The results just weren't there. Again, 1-4 in the red zone. Thank God for Blake Grupe. But the drives just stalled out. So it's like, on one hand, there are a lot of positives. On the other hand, we scored 17 points. So, if we would have lost that game, if they kick a field goal at the end and we lose 19-16, we'd be singing a different tune. There'd be a lot of questions about the offense. I think right now we got to relax, or we got to take a step back, see another week of it, because there's something there. You can tell this wasn't an offense that was just lost. This wasn't an offense that's just like, we can't move the ball, we can't do anything. There were things there. And once we get rolling, I think we'll be okay. Now, next week, if next week in Carolina we do this again and we score 14 points, we may have a conversation. But I wouldn't go nuts right now just because the Saints scored 17 points in the first game.
But if you're in the teens, hell yeah, you should win. You should win every game. You know what was crazy? I don't know if I've ever witnessed this. The Titans didn't even convert a third down for 3 quarters. 3 quarters, they were 0 for 8 on third down. They ended up being 2 of 12.
They were bad. I mean, the Titans, and I'll say this too, Tannehill's going to get a lot of flack for this performance because he was absolute garbage. I mean, 3 interceptions, one of the worst performances you can get from a quarterback. But I thought Vrabel lost this game. And, we don't cover the Titans or anything here, but I thought Vrabel called a terrible game. Derrick Henry was off the field. I would love to see his snap share. Tajay Spears, the snap share had to be pretty close. The carries weren't close, but Derrick Henry is not on the field. He was not on the field the first, maybe 2 possessions. Definitely the first possession. Because he gets on the field, they have a penalty to start the game, and then Tajay plays the rest of that possession. Derrick Henry should be, this is the Titans. They should be running Derrick Henry all the time. They were passing on they would pass on first down, run Derrick Henry on second down, which is already a mistake. Then they would pass again. It'd be like 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 5, pass, punt. That's what they did all game long, which doesn't work because then all of a sudden Derrick Henry's only getting 1 carry a possession. He had 15 carries. I thought Vrabel, what a terrible, terrible game.
That's 17%.
That was big.
That's beyond outstanding. When you're trying to have sustained, drives, and if you're not converting on third down, that's why they only had 16 first downs. We ended up being +1 in the turnover margin. Now, Dennis Allen was to count that block punt. So you can almost say like a +2, and I say, well, you should never lose, but +1.
The official NFL stats won't say +2, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're +1. But if you're at home and you're +1 in the turnover battle, and your defense gives up 16 points, yeah, you should win. 100%. If you look at the box score, which I guess we can real quick. If you look at the box score, y'all know how I look at box scores by now. First thing you look at is YPP, yards per play. So 5.5 to 4.8. 5.5 is good. That's what I'm saying. Like, the offense was good. 5.5 is fine. If you have a 5.5 yard YPP, you're okay. We win YPP. We win the turnover battle, 3-2. Nothing crazy, but sure. Red zone obviously is bad. Yards per rush is terrible. That's our big outlier. We have to be better there. The rest shows we should have won the game. Now, if you look at all of this in a vacuum, it is a close game, and it was a close game. This box score tells the true tale. We deserve to win, but we probably did deserve to win a tight game. So, there's nothing really stands out here besides that yards per rush. That's the bad thing.
Sorry, Dennis.
But we got to stay on that plus side. If we can continue to do that, you can't help but win and, bend but don't break, and you force in field goals, you should win. The game kind of played out like I thought it would. I didn't realistically think we were going to stop Derrick Henry. We didn't stop him in the first half, but you know what? We stopped him in the second half. He had over 100 yards.
He didn't run. Like, that was the thing. I don't know the stats. Maybe someone could look it up and put it in the comments. But I would assume he barely ran in the second half. He was non-existent in the second half. The first half, yeah, he was running pretty well. The second half, like I said, Vrabel totally went away from Derrick Henry.
Yards, total scrimmage yards in the first half. We only ended up with 119. And so overall, we made adjustments. We made adjustments, maybe tackling better. He had that one big, screenplay, because you don't consider him as a pass receiving running back. He ended up having 2 catches, 56 yards. But, that didn't surprise me. We couldn't run the ball. They had the number 1 run defense in the NFL, and we don't have – I think even with Alvin Kamara, we would not have been able to run the ball. We might have done a little better, but, average better than 2.6 yards. So instead of 69, we might have had, 89.
I thought with the running game, with how bad we were running, I thought maybe that's when they start to sprinkle in Taysom. They would start to kind of get away from the traditional kind of running play, since that wasn't working. We saw a little bit of Shaheed on some sweeps and some speed sweeps and things like that, which worked, which were working in the second half. But yeah, it was an abysmal, and that makes it hard too when you're in a slugfest like we were, and it's a low-scoring game and it's a tight game. When you cannot run, that definitely does make it hard on your offense.
Something like that. I think the Titans are that good defensively.
And Kamara will fix that. And even if it's not rushing, he will fix that with screens, and he will fix that with us, using him in the passing game. That will be a big part of how we can get around the inability to run in between the tackles. Speaking of tackles, I got to say this. Trevor Penning was awful. Trevor Penning in the first half was throwing the game. There were so many completely unabated rushes that just blindsided Derek Carr. They were causing fumbles and causing all kind of issues. He was better in the second half, but it was hard to be worse. So they got to sort out the offensive line, specifically Trevor Penning.
It could be the toughest run defense we're going to face all season. Now, I would expect us to run the ball better against Carolina on Monday night, and hopefully that's the case. Now, the one thing on the flip side, I thought we got better as the game progressed on third down. We ended up being 7 of 16, 44%, but not so good in the red zone. Again, they were 0 for 3, outstanding for our defense, but our offense was 1 of 4 in the red zone as far as 25%. So that's not so good. But the bottom line is, I thought we did get passes defended, but when the ball hit our hands, we came up with some interceptions. Ryan Tannehill, they're going in a different direction than him in the future.
Yeah, he's not the guy. Tennessee's got to get away from Tannehill. He was abysmal, and that team will go nowhere as long as he's the quarterback.
Sure, he had ended up having 3 interceptions, quarterback rating of right at, say, 29. No, you're not winning. Career low. You're not winning anything when that occurs. I thought Derek Carr got better.
Carr
quarterback rating, that's winning.
I thought Carr was good the whole game. I thought he made some really good throws. On the first drive, the throw to Michael Thomas was a dime. He was dealing. That's why I'm kind of on the razor's edge, because Carr was dealing, but the results weren't really there. This is going to make a lot of people upset. He was dealing, but it was kind of an Andy Dalton performance. This was kind of in that Andy Dalton wheelhouse, where he was efficient, He didn't do anything crazy. He had a terrible interception, and we won the game 17-16. It's one game. I thought Carr made some good throws, but results-wise, didn't blow me away.
Football, 96.1 quarterback rating. I know he did have the interception, had the touchdown, but, you have to look at how he distributed the ball. Always to talk about that with Drew Brees, at least 8, if not 10, 11 different receivers catching the ball. So, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that wasn't I'm not sure what the stat is going to be. We'll find out in 10 seconds here. But distributing the ball, to me, it seemed like it was all Thomas, Olave, and Shaheed. Juwan Johnson had 3 catches, but he had 2, I think, on the first possession, and then got 1 late. Or he might have had 3 in the first half. But besides that, it was pretty isolated on those guys. This was not a huge distribution chart. He may have it may show that he had 7 receivers involved, but it was pretty much Shaheed, Olave, and Thomas.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So around there, he's still spreading the ball around like Chris Olave, 10 targets with 8 receptions, 112 yards. I thought he was outstanding. Rashid Shaheed. Now, you have to look at, he started off the game not so hot. You can't fumble the opening kickoff.
Yeah, tough start.
But they're really tackling. They don't tackle in practice anymore. They don't do that.
Yeah.
So when teams go ball hawking and you're getting hit, that's an adjustment you have to make. When you talk about all-purpose yards, you look at Rashid Shaheed as a running back, as a pass receiver. He had 6 targets, 5 catches, 89 yards, an average right at 17.8. So that's 18 yards of reception and a touchdown. Outstanding. If you throw in there his kickoff returns and you throw.
Well, you can't do that. But another thing I thought was impressive with the Saints was the last possession, where last year I feel like the offense would have just ran. It would have been like run, punt, burn time, whatever. The fact that they were kind of throwing, that they were being aggressive, again, I'm not sure who was calling the offense. It might be Ronald Curry, it might be Pete Carmichael, it might be a combination. I don't know. Whoever it was, I give kudos for. Whoever it was, we were more aggressive. Whoever it was, we were philosophically different than we were last year. So I will give kudos. Again, the results were not there. We scored 17 points. Okay? We scored 17 points getting 3 turnovers. So certainly should have had better results. But just watching the offense, it was different. And the way that they were moving, the way that the aggressive nature, some of the speed sweeps on big downs, deep passes on big downs, that was different. That's something we did not do last year. So kudos to whoever was calling those plays.
Throwing the punt returns, 216 all-purpose yards. So, Steve, you have to give a game ball to Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, despite even the opening kickoff fumble, I agree too, and I gave him the MVP for the Saints rating.
Steve, whoever this is, he is inside of that microphone. He's blowing my eardrums out.
Video Network today.
Because he didn't pout. He didn't, feel sorry for himself.
No, and then he produced, right? It was a difference maker.
And then he was a difference maker. We need him to be a difference maker. We need him, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, whoever it might be. We need all hands on deck and to be difference makers. If you look at it, Steve, like you had mentioned early, this is how you want to start. You sleep good tonight. And, it's a 50-50 thing. Either you're going to be 0-1 or 1-0. Now, I guess you can have a tie, but that's few.
Yeah, I mean, the result is the wins count the same. 17-16 counts the same as 40-0. So the Saints, they did lose, or they did win in a weird fashion, but it's kind of the best case scenario because now the Saints can have a win. Right now, we're the 1 seed in the NFC. Lols. But they can have that win and go back and practice, and they can say, we have a lot to fix. The players can come in hungry. The players can know we got to be better. If we can win at our C game, we can win at our A game. And I mean, winning these kind of games, this is what makes a championship team. And I said it in the the lead up to this game. But last year, we lost a ton of games by a field goal. We lost a ton of games within the last 2 minutes. So to win one of those games, this is the difference between 11 wins and 10 wins. Like 10 wins or 9 wins. You stack a couple of these up, is the difference between 12 wins and 9 wins. This is huge. This is on the path. You have to stack up wins in the NFL. This is a win. We're stacking the wins. We're starting now. I said it before. We have to start hot because there's so much momentum. There's so much belief. Within the first 4 or 5 games of the season, we need to be 3-2, 4-1, 5-0. This is one step closer to 5-0.
And far between. But now we've won our last 5 season openers, which is a franchise record. So, Steve, just a great start. Because, listen, I always say this. Give me an ugly win versus, man, we played pretty damn good. How did we lose the game?
Right.
Yeah. Because when you look back, when we're going to look at this, like come probably September, we're still looking at this, but come like late November, December, the fans and really you just look at whether you won or lost.
Right. Yes.
And when it's coming down, whether you're going to win the division or not.
The intricacies of the game won't matter by this time next week. When we're playing Carolina, no one's going to care that we had 2.6 yards to carry, especially 5 weeks from now. People will care that we're 1-0. People will care that it counts as a win. So we can go over the small details of this game today, tomorrow, the rest of this week or whatever. But come Thursday-ish, we're on to Carolina as far as like the fans, as far as looking at the results. So it's easy to get bogged down in the small details of these games, but for the first game of the year where no one is going to be 100%, where nothing's going to be clicking the whole way, to come out with a win, I think is really the most important part. And we try not to be strictly results oriented, but with a game this close, with a tough opponent in the Titans, week 1, brand new team, everyone's kind of knocking the rust off. You kind of just got to say, hey, we got the win.
Now, again, come Monday night against Carolina, that's a 2-for-1. They're down, so we got to kick them when they're down. We're going against a rookie quarterback, so we would need to make them 0-2. And because that's like a 2-for-1 whenever you're playing in the NFC South. And the one thing what I like, I thought the fans were really into the game. And the reason why I say this is because as of late, it has not been a dome field advantage.
It was a dome field advantage. So, like I said, I was there. Before the game, someone texted me and said, what's the environment like? And I said, I've never felt it like this. And I was being honest. I've been to NFC Championship games. I've been to playoff games. I've been to Monday nights against the Falcons. I've been to games against Tom Brady. Whatever, Because it was the opener, there was a different level of excitement in the dome. It was crazy loud. It felt like a playoff game. Now, again, it's week 1. If we go 7-10, it won't be like that at the end of the year. But the fans are ready. They believe. I'm telling y'all, if this team is the 1 seed, or if this team is a playoff team, if this team wins the division, the fans will be there. I think the fans like this team. The fans want to root for this team. The environment, the dome, all that stuff, it felt like it hasn't felt in a long time. So I was very impressed with how just everyone came out, the noise throughout the game. It was palpable.
It is not the dome field advantage. Do you know coming into this game, we had lost 10 of their last 16 games. That's dating back to 2020 COVID season. Remember, we lost a divisional playoff game to Tampa Bay? So now we're 11-16. So we got to get it where, the crowd,
I was not there. That was the first night I moved to New Orleans. Was the night I moved into my apartment. Like 10 minutes later, the Tampa Bay playoff game started.
Nation, we loud and proud. And the only thing at the end of the game, we were on offense. And some reason the fans started to do the who dat chant. And Derek Carr had to quieten him down. I go, no, what are you doing? We have the ball.
They got overly excited, maybe.
Overly excited. You cannot do the who that chant when we on offense. Now we on defense or it's a timeout. You can do that all you want. You have to understand you got to observe and watch the game on offense. Then after you score, you can cheer as loud as you want. But it has to be a defensive advantage whenever you're doing that who that chant. Now, looking at what we did defensively, I thought was outstanding.
Defensively, it was an A+. Like, defensively, A+. The pressure we got on Tannehill the entire game. Lattimore was, during the game, I said, we might be watching the defensive player of the year. He was that good. He was locked down, shut down, stride for stride with whoever he was on, whether it was Hopkins or whoever. The interceptions, like the defense, the sacks, the pressure, stifling Derrick Henry. You can say whatever you want about the offense, the results from the offense. This was an A++ defensive performance. And it should not be anyone's surprise because this defense has been good for the better part of the last 5 years. The Saints defense has been the constant. It has been the constant for a long time now. Since 2018, I would say. It's been really good. So it's really good again. And that's what we were saying preseason, where we know the defense will be good. And that alone should help us, should make us win the division. If the offense can just be average to above average, our defense is good enough. This is I keep saying this is a 1 seeds defense. This is a NFC championship level defense right here. This is right up there with the Cowboys defense, the Niners defense, the Eagles defense. It is as good as the top defenses in the NFC. If our pass rush just gets better, and it was really good. The pass rush was really good, but that's the only question mark because the secondary is elite. Marshawn Lattimore is elite. Tyrann Mathieu is elite. Linebackers, really good. Demario Davis, Pete Werner. If the pass rush can play like this and get pressure on everyone like we got on Tannehill, then we're going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL all season long.
Guys that you'd expect to be outstanding were outstanding. Well, guess who led the team in tackles? Double D. Yeah. Demario Davis. 10 total tackles, 9 solo.
Yeah, he was amazing. I
don't think he's too old. That's kind of a tackling machine. When you look 9 unassisted, 10 total. He had a tackle for loss. Pete Werner. Pete Werner's a tackling machine. He had 8 total. He had a half a sack. He had a quarterback hurry. Marcus May, I know he's part of the Derrick Henry highlight reel with that stiff.
Yeah, Marcus May got sent into a different dimension by Derrick Henry. Marcus May, it is what it is. You're a safety. You're coming down trying to tackle Derrick Henry. Bad things are going to happen. But he got sent into the shadow realm on a Derrick Henry stiff arm. But hey, who cares?
For him, but he ended up coming up with an interception and a pass defended. But these 3 guys, I thought if you look how they contributed, Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson, and Marshawn Lattimore. Cam ended up with a half a sack. He had a quarterback hurry. 2
Yeah, I think Granderson had a couple of sacks.
2 pass defendants. That's important. He knows when to put up his hands and bat down the ball, the line of scrimmage. I thought, listen, that's why I said you might want Peyton Turner to play and contribute. But right now, he's not as good as Carl Granderson. No, he's part of the rotation. Carl Granderson, he ended up with 4 tackles, a sack and a half.
A sack and a half, okay. He must have had the half sack with Brian Breezy at the end of the half. The defensive line, I don't have a problem with the rotation. Like how Bobby just said that we kind of rotate players in and out. That's fine. If we're rotating players in and out and everyone's contributing, I'm okay with that being the kind of the makeup of the defensive line versus just like a Micah Parsons or a stud here and a stud here and they're just going to do stud things. I'm cool with the rotation. I'm cool with bringing guys in, fresh guys out, whatever. This guy's Peyton Turner's here. Oop, next play is Carl Granderson. Oop, now it's Brian Breezy. Oop, now it's Cam Jordan. Like, whatever. I thought the line, that's the question mark. Because, again, Marshawn Lattimore has shown in his career at times he can be the best cornerback in the NFL. He's also shown at times that he can get boom roasted. But if he puts it together, and we get a season of Marshawn like he played against Tennessee, and he has been a guy through his career that he has played his best against big-name wide receivers. like Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins. So we need him to do this next week against Carolina. If he can do this every game, and we can have a guy who is a true lockdown corner, a true interception machine, I mean, again, the sky's the limit.
4 quarterback hurries.
Yeah, exactly.
Quarterback hits.
Hello.
1 tackle for loss. Outstanding by Carl Granderson. Now, Lattimore, look, he came up with an interception. He probably should have had a couple of them, but 4 passes defended. So they wasn't necessarily going away from Lattimore. Paulson Adebo, I think overall, he ended up having an interception, a pass defended. That's what I was proud with our secondary, is that we were able to catch the ball. Like last year, we'd have had 1 interception instead of 3 interceptions. Right. We'd have had more passes defended. Hell with the pass defended. If we get our hands on the ball, we need to pick that son of a gun off. You look at special teams, always want to acknowledge them. Deshaun Jackson led the team with 2 assisted special teams tackles. Looking at Yadam, here's Isaac Yadam. He comes up big. He had a solo tackle. Taysom Hill, I'll tell you what, end up having a solo special teams tackle.
I think Taysom is going to end up being the odd man out offensively. I think Taysom is a Sean Payton project. I think he is a guy who Payton utilized, and it looks like this coaching staff is moving away from that. And that's fine. If they don't want, they shouldn't be forced to use Taysom. You shouldn't be forced to get him 10 touches a game. If the offensive staff says, look, we'd rather focus on Shaheed, our running back, Thomas, and Olave, fine. I don't care, But to me, it just seems like they're kind of shifting away from the Swiss Army knife Taysom situation. I was kind of surprised, though, with how poorly we were running the ball. I was kind of surprised they didn't utilize him more in the running game. I mean, I think he had 3 carries maybe, and they were all the same. They were all quarterback powers to the outside. That's it. So I was kind of surprised they didn't throw some wrinkles in there because of how inefficient or ineffective Jamal Williams was, but,
How many quarterbacks could say they go down with the coverage units and they get a tackle? Well, that is Taysom Hill. Now, I thought, like, overall, D. Hopkins. That dude, like the last 2 games he's played against the Saints, he's had over 100 yards receiving. Well, today, only 65. And he was targeted.
Jerry Rice could have been out there with how Ryan Tannehill was playing. He wasn't getting 100 yards. I mean, Ryan Tannehill was that bad.
Double digits. He was targeted 13 times. He only had 7 catches, 65 yards, and they were trying to move him around. Lattimore was the only one guarding him. Yep. You had Adebo, you had Alontae Taylor. I thought for the first time being in the slot overall, Alontae Taylor ended up being outstanding considering his responsibility taking over for Bradley Roby. No, I just think it was an outstanding win. Now, we'd want it to be more comfortable, that we wouldn't have to sweat it out at the end. But like Dennis Allen said, you know what we did? We made big plays when we had to. When we had to make big plays, we made it.
Yeah, when we had to convert at the end, we converted. When we had to, stop them, we stopped them. Like, we did. This was not a pretty win, but it was a win. Bottom line. And there's a lot to work on. We knew there would be a lot to work on. This is no surprise to anybody. I think the entire team can kind of hold their head up high. And this was an ugly win, but at the end of the day, it's the NFL. It's a win. I think this offense will get better. I think you can watch philosophically how they went about the game. I think you can see that there's something there. You can see Derek Carr is going to sling the ball around. You can see Michael Thomas is going to be involved. You can see Chris Olave is there. You can see what they're trying to do. This isn't an offense that's lost. We talked about this about last year, was that it looked like they were randomly running plays. It looked like Pete Carmichael was just spinning a wheel, and it would be a run play to Alvin Kamara, and they would just call that. This time, it was different. This time, they were doing things on purpose. They were putting players in positions on purpose. The personnel packages were on purpose. Everything was there. It was 3rd and 1. You could tell, like, the speed sweep was a big part of it, where it was like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. We hadn't called it all game. We called a speed sweep. There ended up being a holding on the play. But still, like, whoever's calling the play, that you could tell they were holding that play for that moment. So we were very proactive in how we were calling the plays, which is huge. I mean, it was night and day from last year as far as the way we were running the offense. I came out of the game today. I'm filming this on a Monday morning. Today, I'm coming out of this like, okay, everything I said leading up to the game, I feel all right about. I feel okay with saying the Saints can win the Super Bowl. I feel okay saying the Saints are an NFC championship contender. I feel okay saying they're going to win the division. I feel okay with they're going to win over 9.5 games. All that stuff I feel fine with. Now we got to go to Carolina. We got to take care of business. But if we start 2-0 with a tough win here and then a road win in the division, it's a lot of momentum. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the game. Anything you thought about the game, any observances, who you thought was good, who you thought was bad, anything you've got, put it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next video.